Hello and welcome to Movement and Science. My name is Kendra Pena-Collazo. Today I am super excited. Today I am filming from my new studio. It is my garage. I try to make it look as best as I can to provide you guys with more content. I have not been able to move around and show you guys some movement patterns that I go to and exercises that I use that are really, really important to my overall wellness. So I get to start doing that now, so I'm super excited. So to celebrate, today we are going to do basic movement patterns and how to do them properly. Once you have a solid foundation, you can do almost anything, but you have to learn the basics. So stay tuned, we're gonna learn those basics today. Okay, so the first exercise that I want to talk about is the squat. The squat is such an important movement pattern that I see so many people doing incorrectly. Now, if you're in the gym and you're constantly working out and you've been working on your squat for years and you've had a trainer, there could be some tweaks and some minor adjustments that you can make, but primarily what I want to talk about is those big, blaring movement pattern deviations or faults that people have when it comes to doing the squat. This is a movement that is so important to your daily living when you're outside gardening or when you're moving around the house. Getting up and off the floor is so important, and knowing how to do that squat is going to protect your knees, because that's something I hear all the time is people complaining about their knees, and when I ask them to do a basic squat, they're missing the mark. So if you are in the gym and you're working out all the time, you probably have a basic squat down. If you're not 100% sure if you do, or if you think your squat is perfect, you're still gonna wanna stay tuned, because I can give you some tips and tricks to make your squat even more efficient and effective. Okay, so the first thing that I see oftentimes when people are doing a squat, the heels will come up and the knees move first. So what does that look like? Usually I see people doing squats and they do this. Okay, from the side it looks like this. Whew. Just doing that 4 times and I can already feel it in my knees. When you are doing a squat, the joint that moves first is the joint that's going to load first. So that means we want all of the weight and the load to go into our hips, not our knees. So you can practice this at home. If you move your knees first, you will feel a lot of weight in your knees. If you move your hips first, it's going to feel a whole lot more fluid. So it looks like this from the side. Okay, so we want to move our hips first. So you're going to need to warm up, move around so you can open up those hips. If you want to go wide to begin with, just to get the hips open, that's okay. But you're going to bring the hips back and then come up and really squeeze those glute muscles to make sure that your pelvis comes back under your body. And as you warm up, you can bring your feet closer together till they're about hip width apart, and then continue the movement pattern. Okay, the next exercise that I want to go over is the lunge. This is another really great movement pattern that sometimes people aren't getting right, and then it leads to knee issues or sometimes instability issues where they may fall. So we're gonna work on that now. Okay, friends, now we're gonna work on the lunge. One of my favorite exercises. This is pretty straightforward. So if you are stable, it's actually called a split squat if your feet aren't moving. So let's start with that. Let's start with the split squat and then we'll work on the lunge. So with our feet staggered, I want to take a step back and then come straight down. This front knee is going to be over my ankle and the back knee is going to be underneath my hips. I'm going to make sure that my tailbone is pointed down towards the ground. I'm going to engage my muscles, exhale, and come up. Tuck that tailbone under, I just lost it. Come back down and up. Okay? The movement is straight down and straight back up, okay? That is the basic split squat. Now when you progress and you want to add some movement, you can then do a lunge once you have perfected that up and down, right? It's a vertical motion. So with the lunge, you take that leg. I always like to go backwards. The reason why I like to go backwards, when my clients step forward, their front knee goes over their front toe, and then they can have knee issues because they overgauge or overestimate their leg span. So I always coach going backwards. That I think is just really personal preference from what I see in my classes and with my clients. So take that leg, you can bring that leg backwards, come down and up together. Back, down, and up together. I'll show you from the side what that looks like. So I'm going to step the right leg back, make sure that my posture is straight, step back, down, and up together. There you go. Simple. The split squat and the progression into the lunge. So the next one I want to talk to you about is the plank, and then we can progress that plank into a push-up. So the plank, the key is everything needs to be in a straight line. So I'm going to show you what I see people doing wrong a lot, and then we'll go ahead and we'll do the correction so you can see what it looks like done properly. Okay, so this is a fantastic movement pattern that I see people doing incorrectly all the time. You do need to build up some strength and some stability before you actually try to add time or add types of movements or variations to the basic plank. It also helps that you have an understanding of what good posture is while you're standing. And the reason why is once you get onto the floor, you want to translate that good posture, that good standing posture, to a good posture in a plank position because it's the same. You're just shifting your body position. So let's start out with the things that I see that are done incorrectly when we see people doing the plank. So oftentimes when I see people doing planks, I will see something that looks like this. So my body is not in a straight line. I'm not activating my core or activating the muscles in my glutes. I also see something that looks like this a lot. Or sometimes I'll see this or this. We want to make sure that our whole body is in a nice straight line. Okay? So that will look like this. Bring the hands underneath the shoulders, spread the fingers out nice and wide. Tuck the tailbone, the elbows in so the elbows are pointed towards your toes versus out to the sides. That's also going to protect your elbows and your shoulder. From here in an all-four position, tuck the toes under and then just kind of lean forward a little bit. So right here, I already feel the engagement in my hands. Tuck that tailbone under, really tuck it under. That's going to activate the core muscles. Extend the legs back. Squeeze the glutes. Make sure that the neck is nice and long. You don't want to look up. You want to be in a neutral position. So already you see that I'm shaking, and the reason why is because everything is turned on. Once you get into that plank position, start to activate those muscles. It's not about relaxing into the plank position unless you're trying to build endurance. But usually we're trying to build strength when we're in that plank position. So that requires you to activate all of the muscles and make sure that they're firing and keep the duration of that plank really short. I love to coach a 10 and 5. 10 seconds of an active plank, 5 seconds recovery, rinse and repeat. Okay, so when you add the variation of the push-up to that, we can just make sure that the body is in alignment and flexing at the elbow and extending. So it looks like this. So there you have it. that's a basic plank and the progression into a basic push-up. So there you go. Those are the basic movement patterns that once you have those exercises on lock, you can progress and move on to all kinds of other movement patterns that'll really add to your physical fitness.